Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a short prayer and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Jessica, statement of publication, please.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 11th day of May, 2020 has been posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Thank you, Jessica. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Here.
Enriquez,
Here.
Mar,
Here.
McGill,
That's that, is he on? Dave, just
Present.
unmute. There you are.
Novak,
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
And our professionals, the business administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
engineer,
Here.
attorney.
Here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next is the approval. Oh, actually, before we move to that, Jessica, would you please read the statement in reference to our electronic virtual meeting?
Yep. To help keep the meeting as organized as possible, residents who wish to speak in one of the public portions are to press *9, which will notify us that a person from the public wishes to speak. At that time, you will be asked for your name and address and be limited to the 5-minute comment period.
Thank you very much for that, Jess. Now, approval of prior minutes, please.
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the minutes that are listed on the agenda, for April 27th and May 4th, to be approved, subject to change if necessary.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Today, we have a proclamation to be read today. Again, we are in uncharted territory and very difficult times. While I do know that the curve is beginning to flatten and we are seeing some reduction in numbers, which is great, we know that this is not over. We have to continue to be vigilant. And one of the groups that we know now are essential and have always been essential, in my opinion, is our proclamation that we're going to read for our public works professionals, the unsung heroes of the town. So our proclamation reads as follows: whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the borough of Saraville. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizen, civic leaders, and the children in the borough of Saraville to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 60th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association / Canadian Public Works Association. And now, therefore, I, Victoria Kilpatrick, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2020, as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with government agencies to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life.
I move the mayor's proclamation be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
And prior to moving on to our COVID-19 update, and in recognition of this proclamation, I'm going to take a few minutes to turn today's meeting over to Council President Novak, who's also our liaison to Public Works, for some, what I think is pretty exciting news. I think our residents are going to be extremely happy.
Yes, our residents are going to be very happy, Mayor. After a lot of planning, we will be opening up Fort Grumpy for recyclables as well as heavy trash starting Monday, May 18th. And it'll be every Monday and Friday except for Memorial Day until this is over with, and then perhaps we'll open it on Saturday again also. The hours are going to be the normal hours, which are 7:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Please understand that we really have to stop at 1 o'clock because we got to get all of this stuff to the dump before it closes in order to have these facilities available for the next time. We have to make sure we empty everything. We're asking that everybody, you wear a mask. You will not be admitted without a mask. And as usual, you have to have your ID. That's something we've always had. So, you know, this is something that's just for our residents of Sayreville. And again, only dump once a day. Try to, if you have more to dump, please come back on Friday if you've been there on Monday. And don't get cranky sitting in lines, because I'm sure, at least for the first few weeks, we are going to have lines. So I want to thank everybody for working very hard on this. Please be nice. Everybody that's in line, be nice. Everybody that would be nice to each other, and be nice to the public works workers that are working there. Thank you, Mayor.
Grumpy should be grumpy
Yeah. Yeah.
And also to add, just make sure it's something that you can handle on your own, because we want to keep a contact-free environment.
Yes.
That's extremely, this was not an easy task. I know that a lot of people like to pay attention to what's going on in our other towns that are surrounding, South River, East Brunswick, Monroe, and Old Bridge. And each town is very unique. We have been working tirelessly, I know, as a council, and I know our professionals and our employees, to try and deal with this new way of life and provide the services that we can to all of our residents. I know it's been frustrating. I know that so many people, we are so lucky to have that convenience here.
Oh, absolutely.
Not every town has these types of, dump sites where they can actually bring their things, and I get it. We're all frustrated when our lives are not working the way that we're used to. But our employees remain, to this day, the most important that we have to take care of. These are our employees, and these are our residents. So this,
If one gets sick, we're afraid it'll spread rapidly. So, you know, keeping all of our employees safe is the top priority.
one of the things, and I know, Jess, I think you were on a clerk's call, or maybe it was our HR director. Every week, all of our different directors and supervisors have their different calls. And I think it was the HR meeting. We're one of the only municipalities, knock on wood, to not have a positive COVID-19 case.
Oh.
I know I shouldn't have said it, but there's a reason for that, and that's because we really did take every single measure we could in order to protect our employees. And when I say just protect our employees, that protects our residents too. One of the things, and speaking to our DPW director, he brings up a good point. A lot of these surrounding towns, most of these surrounding towns, they actually use a third-party sanitation pickup. That
That's right.
means that their residents have to pay a separate company, it's not included within their tax bills, and if it is, it's not employees within the town. We employ our sanitation workers, and we have a small crew. So when it came to opening up our recycling center, we had to keep in mind that we do collect your garbage with our employees. And these employees are typically the same people that are running our Fort Grumpy services.
Yes.
And what we have here now is a collective effort from all of our DPW employees, between public work, that's parks, that's buildings and grounds, that's, help me out, roads. We all have to come together to help and provide this service. So we need our residents to understand these people don't want to go home to their families with potential exposure. So we as residents have to do our part to keep them safe.
So if I could jump into that, I'd like to share the correspondence that I had with our water treatment supervisor director this week. So I know a few people are concerned about the estimating the next water bill cycle. So I reached out to Mr. Leitner, and here is his response. I asked him, why are we having a estimated service this month when it's a contactless job to begin with? And just as you were mentioning, here was his response. The current billing cycles are being estimated because our staff was cut to 1/3 capacity during April. The staff cuts were due to the health concerns surrounding the transmission of the virus and our ability to maintain our workforce in the event of infections. We are not estimating to avoid contact. We are estimating because there is barely enough staff to complete the mandated utility markouts and keep up with the ongoing construction projects in town. We are up to half staffing at this current time and hope to have full staff back for the June cycle, depending on what the borough decides. In regard to the billing, it will have no effect on whether they will pay for water consumed or not. There is the possibility they will not see the billing of increased use during this quarter, but that will be recovered in the next billing cycle. Based on water production at the treatment plant, there has been no significant increase that would indicate people consuming significantly more water. On a side note, industrial users were physically read to ensure consistent billing for our highest consuming customers. So I thought that was a thorough answer for the questions that our residents have lately, online and in person.
Thank you for that, Councilwoman Marr, as well. So you can see one of the questions I've been getting a lot online, and I'll move into my COVID-19 update at this point, is how is Saraville looking at eventually our path to reopen and recover from this? And you can tell just by listening to Council President Novak and Councilwoman Marr, and I'm certain the other council people, we are all working very, very closely with each one of our department heads and supervisors in order to make sure that even though we were working on these abbreviated schedules to keep our employees safe, like almost every single other town and almost every single employee, employer, whether you're government or not, to keep everyone safe. But we do have our eye on the path forward. And just like the governor had mentioned, with that path, there has to come a lot of different things taken into consideration. An increase in testing, which I can say that we very successfully were able to offer all of our employees just this past week testing, COVID-19 testing free of charge from the borough and the employees, thanks to the Jewish Renaissance Medical Center. And I have to say, what an amazing job they do. They do this throughout the state. They helped out many, many municipalities, and they were able to come in here, and they were able to provide that service to us, and then also get us those results within a matter of just under 2 days. So we have to go through this. This is what it's about, testing more, and then the next phase, which is tracing. We are taking small steps, like reopening Fort Rumpke, because we know that eventually we do have to get back to, I don't want to say life as normal, because I want life better than what we were used to. And you can see that we're all working together to try to make that happen. Very briefly, my COVID-19 update in reference to the county call that we just ended prior to me walking into the building. Congressman Pallone gave us an update from his level. They continue to fight for as much money for New Jersey as possible out of federal funds. There's still a lot of roadblocks in doing that. So we are constantly, and I want to say thank you to Congressman Pallone because he is tirelessly fighting to try to get as much money over into our state to make sure that local municipalities, small municipalities, municipalities of under 500,000 residents and under 50,000 residents actually get money that we're definitely going to need. And that's not just based on the things that we have to spend in order to take care of COVID-19, but that includes any type of revenue loss. That's the big money. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars here that we're hoping that Congressman Pallone and others will be able to fight for and get here in New Jersey. Moving on, let's talk about locally. You know how I feel about these numbers. You know, again, it's not a sport, it's not a football game, it's not a basketball game, but I do know that many people do watch these numbers. Today, we just received notice from our police chief that we have 6 new confirmed cases. And let me tell you, every day my heart just rapidly, after that 3-4 o'clock time period, immediately starts to increase because I'm fearful of those numbers that come in. There were several days there in a row where we had very low numbers. I was excited about that, under 10 of positive cases.
That was short-lived.
And then I see those numbers tick up a little bit, but I have to remind everybody, numbers are going to go up because the increase in testing.
That's right, more people.
It's a mandate.
Yep.
We have to do more testing, so the numbers are still going to go up. We still, at this point, have 26 confirmed fatalities. We have not heard any additional. And again, that's where my heart really skips a beat, is looking down at those messages when they come in. And I pray every single day that we don't have to add to that number, because those are 26 friends, neighbors, family members, loved ones, and I just don't want to see any more than what we've already lost here in Saraville. Let me take a look at my additional notes. I know that from the county level, we continue with our PPE distributions, and we rely a lot on our local OEM team in order to make sure that we have that. And as far as I'm aware, we continue to get in a stream of PPEs that keep at least the employees here covered. And I do want to say thank you to so many organizations that have reached out to us to offer donations as far as those PPEs go as well. In addition to continue to keep that community outreach when it comes to food and the distribution of meals. I know Councilwoman Novak, you keep a special watch on that. And are we pushing 2,000 meals, I think, already? since
Well,
this
I
has
know
started?
just on Sunday, there was over 300. We're doing almost over 300 every Sunday. And then we have the Thursday meals too, as well as handing out the groceries tonight until 8 o'clock. If you have any groceries, police headquarters until 8 o'clock.
It's unbelievable, the outreach, and it just makes me so proud. And again, local organizations that have contacted, I would not want to be Lieutenant Novak, because I'm certain he gets calls 24/7, because we are such a charitable group of people, and it's really showing.
And it's also National Police Week this week, so I'd like to give them a shout out. No one supports the police more than I do. My husband, brother, father, cousins. I bleed blue. So everyone's doing a wonderful job above and beyond, and we're so thankful.
May I just, the state PBA is offering the testing for the antibodies too, to all police officers in the state. So to me, that's a very, very, we might find out half of our police have some sort of immunity already, which would be nice to know. But they are offering that too for all the police in the entire state. So it's another big step, I think.
And that's one of the other initiatives also, on top of the COVID-19 testing to see if you are positive or negative, but they're also putting together more concerted efforts around the state in order to offer those antibody tests, and making sure they get the antibody test that they feel is the most valid and seems to not have any types of discrepancy. That brings me up to, I have only, let me take a look, I think one more update. We have 3 testing sites that are closest to Middlesex County. Once again, the Red Shaw School in New Brunswick, which that is our walk-up testing site. Again, all of these, in order to go to these
Sort of
sites,
description.
I'm gonna ask that you visit our Saraville.com page, because there we have the COVID-19.gov, which will show you and explain to you exactly what you need at each one of these facilities, as far as appointments go, or if you need prescriptions.
PNC announced that they're now taking asymptomatic
It changes.
patients to be tested.
Yes, it's changing very rapidly, so that's why I want to make sure that if you are somebody that's in need of testing or did not have testing, please continue to check our Saraville.com page and go to that COVID-19.nj.gov site, because we have seen within the last week changes in times and changes in what you need to have with you. As testing becomes more available, there's less restrictions. So please check the Red Shaw School, which is the walk-up facility in New Brunswick, the Kilmer Department of Motor Vehicles testing site as well. Sometimes those hours change depending on their staffing, as well as our Dayton, which is the South Brunswick site as well. These are probably the 3 most well-used sites, and
Rutgers announced an at-home kit coming soon, so that's exciting.
there's so many things coming down the pike that please keep updated. We will continue to keep you updated as much as possible. And with that, I believe that takes care of the county update, and we can move on with business. Thank you, Jess, for putting that on. I know a lot of people want to hear that when they first tune into our meetings. So we can continue now. Executive session, I don't think we have any need. Is that true?
No need, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Old business, let's move forward with our appointments. Jess, I know we have a stack of appointments there. I'd like to start with the Housing Authority and appointing Mr. Frank Bella to that Housing Authority.
Replacing Bob Redford.
Exactly, replacing Bob Redford.
You
And
want one motion for everybody?
yes, I think that would be easy. And Jess, would you be able to hand over to me or would you read off of there? I'm gonna actually do the appointments for the Green Team. that we've had for quite a while. I believe that Lisa has already signed off and said that these would be acceptable to make at this point. I know Councilwoman Roberts had asked that question earlier on. So let me take a look here. When they're typed out so nice. I'd like to appoint Beatrice, and I apologize, Doigan, thank you. Beatrice Doigan for Green Team. These are all for Green Team.
Yes.
Let's see, Donna Reed Zaleski, Elise Barone, Erin Wern, Jennifer Dusko, Danielle, I'm gonna say this wrong, help me. Mariana,
Yeah.
thank you. Rebecca Garbowski, and that concludes my Green Team list. Can I have a motion?
I move that the mayor's appointments be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Microphone, button, Dave.
Yes.
Thank you.
Roberts.
Yes.
And I just want to just put that the Green Team are for 3 years, and Frank Bello replacing Robert Redford will expire in 2022.
Thank you so much. My condolences to the Redford family. Okay, that brings us to new business and introduction of the following ordinance. Jess?
Ordinance number 502-20, ordinance of the Borough of Saraville authorizing the execution of a consent judgment, a contribution agreement, and the recording of a conservation easement on Block 20, Lot 1, Block 21, Lots 2 through 7, Block 22, Lot 1, and Block 23, Lot 1 on the tax maps of Saraville in connection with New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection et al. Versus Carbide Graphite Group Incorporated, docket number MIDL 5793-07, Superior Court of New Jersey, Law Division, Middlesex County.
All right, and we'll open to the public first?
No,
Oh, no,
it's
we
just
don't have this
introduced.
introduction. Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Okay, so I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on May 26th.
And is
Second.
there a second, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Roberts,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda resolutions. We'll open that to the public first. And let me see, resolutions to be read in full. We'll do that after. Anybody from the public wish to speak? I see one hand, I think. Let me go into, okay. Well, Steve Malinowski, you have made it now officially by name instead of by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. Congratulations, Steve. And please still state your name and address for the record.
You're Steve Malineski, 28 Scarlet Drive in Carlin. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can. Okay. My question is, it's really an informational question. I see one of the resolutions authorizing the tax collector to refund, taxes, and I see a lot of this going on. And I'd like to know a little bit about what the process is. Does it only pertain to veterans? On how we go about doing this.
You can. I mean, Denise is online, but Council President Novak will respond.
Steve, what happens is that it's a process within the veterans federally. Once they approve that somebody is 100% disabled, or the veteran must bring all of this paperwork to Joe Cups, who then certifies that it's all correct. And the state law is that 100% disabled veterans don't have to pay municipal taxes. But all of it has to be approved through the federal government, the Veterans Association first.
So Mary, it's only for veterans. It's not for disabled residents or anything else.
No, it's just the veterans.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that because if you were a disabled veteran, I didn't know if that would qualify for a refund or a rebate or a reduction of, the real estate taxes.
This is only for veterans, and I believe there's a federal statute for it and a state statute for it, as well as a local statute for it.
Okay, thank you. That's what I want to know.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else from the public wish to speak at this time on the consent agenda resolutions only? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, to?
Move that that the public portion be closed and consent agenda resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to the resolutions to be read in full. Jess? There are three.
First one is resolution number 2020-118, whereas NJSA 40A:4-8 provides that the budget as advertised shall be read in full at the public hearing, or that it may be read by its title only if, one, at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget as advertised shall be posted in a public place where public notices are customarily posted in the principal public building, and B, copies are made available to each person requesting same during said week during the public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Sayreville that it is hereby declared that the conditions of NJSA 40A:4-8, 1A and B have been met, and therefore the budget for 2020 shall be read by title only.
Okay,
Yes.
let me put my mic on here. Anybody from the public wish to speak on Resolution 2020-118? Please indicate by pressing *9. And I do have one hand raised. Let me see. That is Steve. Name and address again, please, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Melanazzi, 28 Scarlet Drive in Portland. I think I asked the last time when we were proposing the budget, do we have an idea based on everything that's going on with the shortfalls from government funding? Is our budget in line with last year's? Is there a variance from last year to this year? Because everybody's talking about, and I heard the governor speaking today, about shortfalls, and if we don't get federal funding, that there could be furloughs and substantial furloughs for workers. So I'm just asking, is there a variance between last year and this year, and how do we see that this crisis is going to affect us going forward?
At least right now, we don't know of any shortfalls that are being pulled by the federal government. We don't have any of that. Denise can speak more on it if she wishes. And right here in Sayreville, that we don't even want to entertain that, what I call the F word, furloughs, because I believe that we are quite solvent and stable right now with the monies that we are receiving, and that our budget is quite fiscally sound at this point. So if that answers your question, then we can move on. I can ask Denise if there's anything else, but I'm pretty sure she'll probably say the same. We don't know what the future may hold, but as at this point, there's been no removal of any federal fundings or monies or anything that we've gotten from at the state level or at the federal level. Okay, our revenues are quite good. I know that poor Denise, she deals with me constantly, and I'm certain the rest of the council. You can, is that a sufficient response, Steve?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear, because the way they were talking on the networks, especially in multiple states, they keep talking about billion-dollar deficits, in the budget, and I didn't know how we would stack up against it, or, if they cut back on the funding, does that really affect our bottom line in that significant way?
Right
So I
now,
guess that's more to...
We run a tight ship here, Steve, and we're very, very, very fiscally, what's the word I'm looking for? Thrifty, stingy. We really do get the most out of every cent that we take in.
Fiscally efficient.
Fiscally efficient, that's a nice way to put it. I like that. So thank you for your question, Steve. Anybody
Thank you.
else from the public? Seeing none, can I have we need a motion for that one?
Motion that the resolution, the public portion be closed and the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2020-119, introduction of the 2020 local municipal budget of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex for the fiscal year 2020. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the fiscal year 2020. Be it further resolved that the said budget be published in the Home News Tribune in the issue of May 15, 2020. The governing body of the Borough of Saraville does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2020. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution is hereby approved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex on May 11, 2020. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held in the Municipal Building, 167 Main Street, Saraville, New Jersey, on June 8, 2020, at 7:00 p.m., at which time in place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2020 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons.
At this time, I will open to the public for comments or discussions on Resolution 2020-119. Anybody from the public wish to speak? I see none. With that, I will then ask for a motion on this.
I move the public portion be closed and the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
I would be remiss if I did not say this to the entire council and to everyone, Denise, and the rest of our finance team here. Thank you, because I know this was not an easy task, especially when at the previous regular meeting, I had asked you to go back into that budget, which already was only at a 3.9% increase, and tell you well below cap. And we did something that was really, quite frankly, much needed for our residents. To ask you to reduce that by a quarter of another, 25%, another point, was not an easy task, and that was, shared sacrifices all over the place. Denise, I don't know how many hours you worked, and I don't know how long you did not sleep, but I just want to say personally, thank you, and I'm certain that our residents will thank you to see a slightly lower increase than what they had expected. So, thank you, and council, thank you for supporting that as well. I think we all knew we needed to do that for our residents.
Just one little way this was good for us was the cost of fuel came down so much, we saved almost $100,000.
I know. I know. I thought the same thing, but
There are silver linings to every dark cloud.
I told you last meeting, I wanted to try and focus on the positive and not just the negative moving on, and that is a positive. Gas is less right now. So with that, we're going to move on to our next resolution. Jess?
Resolution number 2020-120, resolution approving participation in a federal grant program administered by the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety's Division of Criminal Justice Safe and Secure Communities Grant Program. Whereas the Mayor and Board of Commissioners of the Borough of Saraville wish to apply to the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety's Safe and Secure Communities Grant Program, and whereas the goal of the Safe and Secure Grant Communities Program is to provide municipalities with funding in order to maintain their full complement of law enforcement personnel to address crime in a focused, community-oriented manner, and whereas the Mayor and Board of Commissioners are authorized to accept subaward number 20-1219 totaling $60,000, and whereas the Borough of Saraville will provide a local match of $300,402.57 in the form of fringe benefits, and the remaining balance of officer salaries for an approximate total project cost of $360,402.57, and whereas the Borough of Saraville understands the subaward period begins June 1st, 2020, and ends on May 31st, 2021, and now therefore it be resolved by the Mayor and Board of Commissioners of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that as a matter of public policy, the Saraville Police Department wishes to participate to the fullest extent possible with the State Department of Law and Public Safety. 2, the Division of Criminal Justice shall initiate allocations to each applicant as authorized. 3, the Borough of Saraville will accept the grant funds for the purpose described in its application. Be it further resolved that the mayor and chief of the Saraville Police Department are hereby authorized to complete, sign, and submit a grant application for the program identified herein.
Thank you very much for that, Jess. I will open to the public for any and all questions relating to Resolution 2020-120. If you wish to speak, please press star 9. Seeing no hands, I will ask for a motion.
I move that the public portion be closed and the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for all that, Jess. And now we'll move on to our CFO, Ms. Biancamano. Any comments?
Just a couple things, Madam Mayor. I would just want to let the public know that our budget will be on the Saraville.com website, hopefully within a day or two. If anyone would like a copy, please email me. My email address is on the Saraville.com. I will be happy to get it out to you, either hard snail mail or via email. And also, you'll notice on the budget document, the public hearing lists all the dial-in and webinar passwords and all for phone numbers, because obviously I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably going to wind up being another virtual council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Denise, again, and thank you for all of your hard work on that budget. Borough Engineers report?
No report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Borough Attorney?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Then I will take a few moments here to open to the public for any and all comments. Anybody in the public wish to speak, please press star 9 on your phone. And let's see, I have, Mr. Rittenhouse, just give your name and address, please. Also, congratulations, you made it to not the 4 digits. So I hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just my normal question lately is on Fulton's Landing. I submitted an Oprah request after the last council meeting based on what Attorney Michael DuPont mentioned, that there were permits on file. Unfortunately, there are no permits on file with the borough, based on the report that I received back. Also, he mentioned the fine of, I believe it was $94,500 in that area. The word back from construction is that nobody's received any authorization to assess that fine.
Okay.
They are doing work with DEP. That we had received a letter from CME CME received, that they are working, and they had removed what part of the pile of contaminated soil back in December. But I don't understand why there's not one permit in Borough Hall. I also sent an open request to Sierra. Sierra, unfortunately, has not responded, but this is not new. I've had other open requests that I've had to go to government records to get them to respond. So that's my, I just don't understand. Maybe Mr. DuPont can produce the permits he said were on file that don't seem to be on file.
Okay, thank you
Mayor,
for
if
that.
I might-
I
if
will have, Mike, are you on?
Yeah, Mayor, if I can respond to that, I never said there were permits on file. I referenced the permits that were enunciated in the letter that was given to me by Brinkerhoff, the permit and geotechnical permits. In addition, or from the DEP, I'm sorry. In addition, the violation has been sent to the attorney and to Mr. Mako, as we authorized at the last meeting. In addition, it's my understanding that this application will be in front of the Sarah, I believe, this month at their next meeting. So I will keep the mayor and council apprised of that. And when I hear from any response from the applicant's lawyer regarding a violation.
Thank you very much.
I did not receive a copy of that fine that I requested in my open request.
Well, again, it's a violation. The violation was sent.
Or the violation.
Yeah, I believe, Art, that this is the jurisdiction of the municipal court, so you may have to issue it to the municipal court, because I believe that is the entity that is going to be issuing the or controlling the violation. I can certainly ask Mr. Frankel tomorrow about that, but I'm pretty sure that the jurisdiction rests with the municipal court now.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I do see another hand raised. Let's see, this time I have to read off the last four digits of the number. Oh, hold on, there it is. So the person calling in from 8581, please state your name and address for the record. You are now live in the public portion.
Hi, this is Mike Diadio. I'm the chairman of Sarah. I live on Zaleski Drive. I just want to respond to Mr. Rittenhouse. We did have our first preliminary Zoom meeting with the Mako crew this past week. They just started their escrow with us. We were very, very preliminary with this. They are on the agenda for March 28th, and that'll be our first look at the plans and with all the commissioners. The past meeting was just professionals and myself. The commissioners will have a chance to go over everything on March 28th. And
May, I think you mean Mike.
Oh, you're right, looking at the wrong calendar.
No
Yes,
problem.
May 28th. May 28th, and that's when Mr. Marco will appear with his professionals. I'm not sure that we'll have that in Borough Hall. We may still be doing Zoom meetings at that point, but we may have a couple people there. And that's when the process will start. But it's very, very preliminary. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and there won't be any permits for quite some time as far as construction goes. I'm not sure what kind of permits he's looking for or talking about, but since escrow has just been posted and we're so preliminary, it's going to be a couple of months at least before we go over things. And from us, it goes to the planning board. And once it's approved at the planning board, I believe that's when he starts getting permits. But I'll defer to Jay to verify the schedule. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Anybody else from the public wish to speak? And at this point, I do not see any hand raises, so I will ask for a motion to close the public.
I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay,
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina.
Smith?
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on then, ladies and gentlemen, to our next meeting. I will ask for everybody to please stand for another salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and statement of publication again, Jess?
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 11th day of May 2020 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Yep.
Mar.
Here.
McGill.
Here.
Novak.
Yeah.
Roberts.
Here.
Okay, and our professionals, our business administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
engineer,
Here.
attorney,
Here.
clerk. Oh, that's me.
And that would be you. Okay, old business, we have everything that was taken care of at the previous ordinance number 502-20. Any questions, comments? No? Okay, that brings us to our committee reports, and we will start with Councilwoman Roberts, please, for administration and finance.
I would like to refer to tax council the tax appeals received numbered 1 through 11 on the agenda.
Thank you. Okay. I don't think so, but we'll take it
And
anyway.
okay, and I would like to the approval of the application to amend the raffle license filed by the Fayetteville Police Auxiliary, changing the date from April 24th to May 29th.
And that one, I think will, any objection on that?
They'll probably have to amend it again.
Yeah, we'll probably, I know, but we're gonna keep, we're gonna hold out hope. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed. Thank you. Anything else, Councilwoman Roberts?
No, I do have a couple of questions on the filing for the planning board resolution. Shall I wait till they're brought up, or should I bring that up now?
For the plan, you know what? You can ask it now. That's fine. That's fine. You can ask it now.
Okay. Because, well, this is probably because I'm a newbie. How do we do a preliminary and final site plan for a site at the same time? It's both preliminary and final?
We'll probably have to ask Jay on that one. Jay, you still on the line?
Yes, I'm here. That's correct. They've made an application for both preliminary and final. So that's typical that the board goes through and grants them. And there are conditions that have to be addressed before any construction can start.
Okay, and I did read, my other question is, I understand that there were comments made by Mr. Modi during the meeting about the minimum standard that the residential site improvement standard requires for parking. And I did the math, and it looks like for each of the units, there's less than 2 parking spaces per unit. Is that about right?
I would have to refer over to Jay on that. I don't know if you can answer that, Jay.
I'd have to go through and check the file to find out, but I can let you know. I can look at the plans tomorrow morning and shoot you an email to let you know what the RSIS requires and what the number of units are and what the parking count was.
Okay, because it does sound like they're doing the absolute minimum standard for parking.
That may be correct, but the residential site standards govern. So as long as they meet those requirements, then the board can't ask for more than that. But I'll get you those numbers tomorrow morning.
Okay, I understood. I just wanted to make sure that my math was correct on that, and that they are calling them luxury. So to me, luxury is parking. That's probably more of a personal statement. Thank you.
Thank you for the.
Thank you, Mayor, for indulging me. I appreciate that.
Anytime. Anything else then? All right, we'll move on then to planning.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Planning and zoning, Councilman Delina, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the following minutes and departmental reports be received and filed. That's the planning board minutes from February 19th and March 4th.
Thank you. Continuing.
I move that the planning board resolution, which was memorialized on May 6th, be received and filed. That's numbers 1 through 3.
Okay. And anything else, Councilman Delina?
I did receive a letter in the mail from a big new Radijak who lives on 23 Dustville Drive in Parlin, New Jersey. They said that since the Wawa gas station has been open, they've been having some people, I guess, drive down their street saying that they've been speeding, almost doing double the speed limit of 25 miles per hour. And it's become a dangerous situation for the residents who live over there. And they think, the neighbors all think that the best solution would be to put speed bumps there or speed humps. I don't know if that's feasible to do, or if we can have a cop sit there and just kind of watch out and see if this is actually going on.
Well, thank you for that, Councilman Delina. I know that I personally have brought quite a few complaints over to our police department in reference to truck traffic that was going on there. Speed humps, I know that that's been brought up quite a multitude of times. I don't think we're actually able to put those in, and part of that is because of emergency vehicles. It's my understanding. I'm looking at Councilwoman Novak because I know she would probably, she knows that as well. I think one of the best things that we need to do, can you please forward that email over to Mr. Frankel as well as the police chief? But you could probably also forward it over to Officer Braille as well. And Dan, I'm going to ask that you follow, and who else, Sergeant? Oh, I do that all the time. I'm terrible, and I so apologize. Sergeant Braille, and then Dan, if you can follow up and actually respond, obviously, back to Kevin, but also let us all know what we can do in order to make that a little bit safer environment. I know it's been an issue and something we've been dealing with. Okay?
Other than that, progress.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilman Delina.
Thank you.
And let's move on now to Councilman McGill, please. Just make sure you hit the speaker again for me, Councilman McGill.
There we go.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Of course.
Of course, Michelle. Yes, Michelle. Anyway, I had a couple of issues. The one was what you and Kevin Delina brought up. I also got a letter from the Dusco Drive Association, and it isn't just Wawa, which I love going to Wawa. It's Wawa, it's Starbucks, and it's the urgent care. They all have back entrances where there never was a back entrance in a residential area. And one of the problems is with Wawa and with Starbucks, they make their deliveries very early in the morning, and they do not come back out onto Route 9. They back around, and they come out those side streets again, down through Dusco and around and out onto Route 9 from the back roads. And it really is. It's an inconvenience, and those trucks are going to cause some damage to those roads after a while. And you're right. Speed bumps never work. They never work. It's you got to put a speed bump in, and somebody ends up suing you for putting the speed bump in. Yeah. All right. Another one was, and I hope I'm not boring anyone here. I really would want to give a heads up for the police chief and all the cops in town, because they do come from a place where they call them cops. And everything that they have done for everyone in this borough, if you knew what it was like to walk into an apartment where you really don't know what is there, and people don't want to admit that they're COVID, and these officers go in, they do it every day, and then they go home to see their families. That's a tough thing to do. I appreciate everything that everyone else in town has done, but the first responders, and I always put the police first, have done a magnificent job. By the way, along with Lieutenant Novak, who I can honestly say is probably feeding half this damn town right now, because he is so passionate about this. All right, so, and just one other thing. Well, no, not just one other thing. During all of this, I spoke to someone in Borough Hall. I would like to see the borough put a sign up across from ShopRite, thanking the ShopRite employees for everything that they have done. Because if you take a look at these, they're mostly kids, they're single moms, they're retirees, and those kids who pick up the baskets and bring the carts back every day are in danger each and every time they touch a cart. And I think it's time for us to say to them, thank you very much. We can't, they don't have everything we need every day, but they do the best that they can. I don't know how the council feels about that.
Second.
But I think it might be a good idea.
No argument here from me. I don't think from Councilwoman Novak, she's saying sounds good, and Michelle seconded and said here. I have to say, Dave, ideas, your thoughts, and you say it plain and to the point, and you're 100% right. So, people do complain a lot about ShopRite, but the people in there working, it's not the employees.
It's most of the kids who, and I apologize if I get this wrong. For instance, the kids that pick up the carts, the kids that are inside, still in aisle 9. These are special needs kids who are actually trying to do something with their lives. And it's a dangerous time to be in a supermarket. It's a dangerous time to be anywhere. By the time this is over with COVID, you will see 100,000 deaths in this country. But because it's a silent killer, most people don't realize it until you find out your friend down the street passed, or this guy passed, or that guy passed. And I want to jump into what Steve Melendowski had to say before. He is right in what he heard. The federal government is playing games with us through Senator McConnell in Kentucky And we're entitled to certain amounts of money for the money we send to Washington. And we don't get anything back near what everyone else gets. Because we're the North. We're blue states, as they call it. I never knew I was a blue or a state, a red state. But that's what Steve was talking about. It could scare the heck out of you. I believe the money will be coming to us because calmer heads will prevail in both the Senate and in the House. So I actually applaud Steve for keeping an eye on what is actually going on there. And last but not least, thank you very much, Jessica. You have guided me through a lot of things, some of which are pretty silly. But you've always gotten me through the day, and I thank you for that. God bless all of you, and stay safe. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Councilman McGill, as always, to the point and the common sense voice. So let's look into that. I think I always seem to ask Dan Frankel, our business administrator, can you look into that signage for those essential workers now over in that ShopRite? Let's see what we can do in reference to that. And, you know, while we're on the idea of signs, and I know it's not my place right now, but I think everybody here would probably second this as well. We have graduating seniors for the class of 2020, and I'm not going to get into the latest letter that did come out from the state police, Colonel Callahan, superintendent of police. I won't get into that, but I do think at the very least, if we're doing our signs for ShopRite, I would love to see a banner or two, similar to what St. Stan's does when they advertise their carnival, that we can put together something to recognize our 2020 class of seniors and have that proudly displayed on those posts that we usually use. And our middle schoolers too.
Mayor, can I interrupt for a second, Mayor?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that's a grand idea because this is the first time these kids have gone through school, they've made it to graduation, but no prom, nothing, just, you know, pictures taken with the family out in front of the front lawn of the house. Someone needs to pat them on the back and say, great job, you got through this, now you're moving on to college. Yes, 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 it's a grand idea.
Thank you. I can go bolder if you want, but.
Well, I just adopted my first senior on Facebook,
Congratulations.
so I'm
You're
now
so
the
young.
proud parent of a girl named Shelly. So I think that's a great initiative that they're doing online for the kids and our residents. It's impossible to get one because everyone is jumping on them as soon as they are posted. So, you know, have no fear. There's 400 others yet to come, but our residents have really been stepping up and adopting these strangers that they have never met before to show them love.
I can go further. I stay up late at night. I honestly haven't slept since this COVID-19 pandemic hit. I think the banners is something that we can probably easily do. But I'll be honest with you, I think about our seniors like stars. And they are stars because they've made it this far. They've pushed themselves really. It's not easy, you know, high school isn't easy. Looking back, I would say I'd like to go back. I did enjoy those times, but it's not tough, especially to be this young and have really that year completely cut short. I often think to myself of creating some type of a, almost what we'll call like a constellation row, like a stars row. I would love to turn around and do small lawn signs that we could actually line maybe North Ernst Road with on the left and right side. We don't quite have, don't know what graduation is going to look like, but at the very least, it would be nice if maybe we come together collectively, come up with a plan to maybe honor them in a way so that even though they might not be able to walk down that row during graduation with their cap and gown, but maybe we can turn around, at least honor each one of our seniors with their face, with their congratulations.
You get those signs and I'll put them up.
So
We don't want you to break a foot again, though, Dave.
I think we do need to look into it. I mean, this would be taxpayer monies that would be expended, and there are rules and regulations in reference to that. But if everybody here is okay with that, I do know of one department especially that's excellent in putting this together, and that is our recreation department. Jerry Ust, I think, is very creative, but I'm certain we could probably come up with others to help. I think we have just enough time to maybe entertain that idea. So if nobody here opposes,
No, I think it's a good idea. We could even solicit donations.
I,
Maybe all the people that are adopting seniors can, get a sign for seniors that they're adopting. There's a couple of people, I know some kids have been adopted a couple of times.
Yeah.
I know. So how about we do this then? On top of our ShopRite, essential workers, and we all have now agreed that our graduates, are stars in this town. And, maybe we'll just talk to Mike DuPont, making sure that we're not stepping on any type of, legal laws or anything. And let's try and do something as a mayor and council to let these kids know and these parents know that we are proud of them and COVID-19 is not going to slow us down. We are going to give them that just due that they deserve. So,
Very well put. Very well put.
thank you. Let's move on now. Councilman Enriquez, I think I just gave your department more work to do. Are you still with us, Councilman Enriquez?
Yes, I'm here, and not to drag this out long, I'm in total agreement with everything we just spoke about. I won't go into it. I won't throw my 2 cents in. Just know I'm behind all these ideas 100%. As for my reports, I have none this cycle and progress, Mayor.
Very good to hear that, and I think it's become everybody's project now. So we'll make it happen. That's one thing I have faith in. Councilwoman Marr, please.
I have no minutes and reports to submit. Just again, reminder to complete your census. We're currently at 65%, and in 2010, we were at 72%. So you talked about getting funding. To receive appropriate funding, it's based on the census, so that's important to complete. Also, as usual, my small business list that I've been posting and updating. Thank you, everybody, all the residents that let me know what's open and what's closed. And again, Hina Patel, our graphic artist, who updates the doc every day, and then I send it over to Nicole, and she posts it on our site. So it's not perfect, but it's a great system. The police are working with a lot of those businesses on the system, and we're paying back, we're giving back to those that support us and our sports teams and students throughout the year. So we want to make sure that we take care of our own.
Excellent work.
And that progress.
Council President Novak, please. Public Works.
Okay. There's no report. Progress, we mentioned already Fort Grumpy opening. I just want everybody to, we are doing our regular grass recycling, which is every day of the week. All of these things are on the normal cycle. It's nothing new you have to look up. It's what's always been Monday through Friday, different areas of town we're picking up grass. This coming Friday is the last day for the recycled leaves or branches until the fall. So please, if you have any branches you've pruned or leaves that you've raked up, this is the last day you can always bring them to Fort Grumpy now on Mondays, Fridays, but we'll be picking them up at their houses the last day until the fall this Friday. Also, white good recycling, refrigerators, stoves, all the things like that are being picked up on Thursdays normally. So please consult your booklet or your county or your websites to see exactly when we're doing that. It is Thursdays in different areas of town all throughout the summer, except for July, where we will be doing, God willing, big bulk pickup at the homes. And again, we're going to try to do everything on the normal cycle. Right now, we are not opening Fort Grumpy on Saturday, and it's primarily because we're already working the guys 5 days a week. We're trying to keep our overtime down, and we're trying to keep them as far apart from each other as possible, because one person gets sick, we could lose an entire division. So that's one of the main things. Another thing is Memorial Day. I just want to remind everybody, just because we're not having a parade, please remember to thank a vet, honor them, pray for their souls, pray for the ones that are still serving. And on Memorial Day, whether or not we have a barbecue or we have a parade, there will be some sort of service. I don't think we've gotten the exact particulars yet. The VFW is running it this year, but there will be some sort of service. But even if you're just in your home, say a prayer for them every day. And I wanted to bring up to the council in general, what are we doing with the vacations? Do we have a policy? What are we looking at? Are people being allowed to take their vacations at this time? Are we thinking of extending? The state law allows us to allow people to carry over just 1 year. But it's something that we have to discuss, and we have to decide whether we want to do it. But all of these things, has anybody been thinking about this in general?
I think in general, just, I mean, about our workforce anyway, and I do think it is something that we do need to discuss. Part of it is obviously right now in order to maintain our workforce at what we're doing, and where are people going? That's the other thing. So I think we do have to entertain that discussion at some point. I know what I feel, but I think everybody
we really
needs.
have to discuss it really soon, because people have already scheduled big vacations, and nobody's told them one way or the other. A lot of people are assuming they're getting their vacations. Some people in some divisions are taking vacations.
The borough that my husband works for, they're not allowing them to take any vacations. All vacations are on hold right
Yeah,
now.
Dan,
At that borough.
I think, Dan, isn't that the policy that's been initiated right now since COVID-19?
We've recommended that they do not take vacations. It is not mandatory because some of the people have already scheduled their vacations from January, but again, taking it where they're going. So if somebody wants to stay home, we have to look at the schedule. The director's going to have to look at their schedules, and it's probably going to have to be on a department by department. But it's something that the council needs to discuss.
It's also something, though, that I think we need to have a clear direction on with our directors, and I do know that within the contracts that, and within anything relating to vacations too, is that it's dependent upon us being able to operate as a borough. So vacations can't be approved unless we know that we have the workforce in order to provide the services that we're doing. So that still remains in effect, correct, Dan? Those vacations should have to.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes, it does.
vacations do have to be approved in order to make sure that we can operate the way that we need to. And, I do just get nervous. Listen, we've been very lucky here when it comes to our workforce in relation to this virus. But I do worry at any moment we could end up having a potential exposure, infection, and we could end up wiping out. Many other municipalities, one's very, very close to us. I've spoken to mayors where they have literally lost whole departments, multiple departments, especially when this originally started, where there was literally only like 1 or 2 men or women standing in order to run the government. So I do think we should have this discussion, and I do think we need to be fair to our employees.
How does everybody feel about it? Because unless we discuss it now, our next meeting is at the end of the month, and there are vacations scheduled for June. So how does everybody feel? Are we telling everybody in the borough that they can't take vacations until this is over with? And if that's the case, are we going to allow them to carry them over until next year?
Well, don't they have to get approval before their vacations are approved?
Well, most of them were approved. People had to have their vacation schedules in January and February, so they already were approved. Nobody's told them that they can't go. So they're still scheduled to go.
Well, Mary, I think Dan said that the directors and Dan was going to look at it on a case-by-case basis. Is that still holding true, Dan? Or because I don't want to, if someone's paid for a vacation, I would feel really bad telling them they can't go. If there's an instance like that, I think we should let them go. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, unless there's a clear.
I don't think anyone here is looking for anybody to lose any money.
No.
Obviously, I will speak to the directors in the next couple of days and find out who has planned vacations moving forward, and we'll take it on a case-by-case study for those people. Otherwise, I think we need our workforce to stay in place so we can continue working the way we're keeping our workers safe by doing shift work and to making sure that they're keeping their social distancing and to make sure that they can work effectively. So I will speak to the directors the next couple of days, and I can report back in the intermediate time, or wait for the next council meeting and get back to the council, or just send the council an email, let them know what I found out.
Now, can I ask one more question, probably of Mike DuPont here? So I mean, that's a day-to-day operation thing that you need to get a hold of, I think, as far as vacations that have been already scheduled and those that are coming in as requests. That's your purview to handle as the business administrator. But moving forward to what Mary is saying, what about as far as this relates to contract language and as far as it relates to state statute? Mike Dupont, is this a discussion we would have to have in executive session? Or is this?
Yes. Well, you're not gonna want to have a discussion without Mr. Merriman or Mr. Clark being present and having the contract in front of you. There are some discussions and some reviews that we are going to have to look at before any discussion takes place.
And we'll have to have, I'm assuming, are we going to have to contact all of our union officials to make sure that their requests, I don't know, I've heard and seen some things from some of our union heads as far as what they would be requesting, but we would have to make sure that we get something from them probably too, wouldn't we?
That's correct, but I would certainly hold the powder on this discussion until Dan and Mr. Frankel's had the opportunity to investigate. Because right now it's just discussion, and I think that you'd probably be best to hold your hypothetical questions as well as information until Dan has had the opportunity to investigate.
I asked for this to be discussed at the last council meeting. I actually asked for it to be on the agenda, and it was not there. And then I was not at the meeting, and I talked to several people to find out if it was discussed, and it wasn't. I mean, we're really pushing this now. People have scheduled vacations, and they were never told they couldn't take them. They're on the schedule to be on vacation. That's the way the schedule is set up right now.
Have they been denied, though?
No, they haven't been denied. That's what I mean. But if we're going to say we don't want anybody to take vacations right now, then we're going to have to afford them the opportunity to carry it into next year. Because I don't want to tell people that, you can't take your vacation now and then have everybody leave in December because they have to take it before the end of the year. I think this is a time is of the essence type thing.
I think I understand where you're coming from. I understand where the conundrum is. I think that there's a couple of things at play here. If they've been scheduled and stuff, I think that this has always been here. We've never had to weigh in on vacations being granted or not before.
Well, no, it is a council decision whether we're going to allow them to carry it over.
Well, that's different. That
Well,
discussion I
we
can.
only allow them to carry it over if there's a reason to deny it.
And I do think there should be a universal policy. It shouldn't be up to each department.
I think it should apply to every department in the borough. If we're canceling them and we want everybody to stay close, then fine. But we can't say you can't take any this summer until, this is all passed, but you can't carry it over and then lose the entire workforce in November and December because they don't want to lose their time.
Right.
This is really time is of the essence. This is not something that we can just keep putting off because vacations are scheduled.
But you do bring up a good point. If we do a knee-jerk reaction and not think it through, then we could be actually setting ourselves up for disaster then in a handful of months as well. I think we need to have it all on the table so that way we can look at exactly where, what we could be putting forth as a policy and end up hurting ourselves very badly in the end. And I don't want to hurt our employees either. I want to be fair to our employees. They deserve that. They're working in unprecedented and dangerous circumstances in some cases, and I want to be fair to make sure that they get what it is that they deserve if we can provide that to them at the time they asked for it.
And realistically, how many people are actually still considering going on vacation? Does this only affect 2 or 3?
Well, I don't know where they're
people,
going
right.
because we have a non-essential travel.
3 people, or does it affect,
Just one
30?
division in Public Works. They have at least 2 people out every single week for the whole month of June. And they're scheduled, and nobody told them they couldn't take them.
Dan Frankel, can you please get a handle on where we are with the vacations that are currently scheduled so we have an idea of exactly what we're looking at as far as workforce possibility? Bring us that information, get it to the council and stuff, and then we have to make a decision very, very quickly as far as what we're going to do.
Bridge schedule can accommodate those people being out in June.
Right.
What?
The abridged schedule, the amended schedule that we have.
That's already figured into this. What the opening Fort Grumpy and all of the new things we've had, the sanitation men are working 5 days a week right now. They don't really have an abridged schedule. They're trying to get everything done. So they're all in.
We also said that we were taking people from different departments to cover some jobs. Is that a possibility? Those are all things that we can consider.
Well, again, like I said, they have these vacations figured into the schedule. And, you know, that's why the opening Fort Grumpy is on Monday and Tuesday, because all of this stuff,
Monday and Friday.
Monday and Friday, it fits into the schedule of who's available on every day and what has to be done on those certain days. But I'm sure this isn't something that's novel I mean, I happen to know this because we just sat down, and how many people do we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, and Thursday and Friday? We just literally sit down and had almost little lines drawn for each man and each thing. And people had been scheduled for vacations, and that's the way the schedule is set up, knowing that these people were on vacation, because nobody was told that they couldn't take vacations that were already scheduled. I mean, a lot of these people, they may not be going away. They might want to be home with their kids, you know, and hopefully they'll be back in school in the fall.
So let's get a better handle on this, Dan, and find out what's going on, and see what the options are that we have. I am hopeful, and I mean, again, Fort Grumpy is the beginning of an example of us going closer to normal scheduling, and hopefully we won't have to continue to work under this abridged type of workforce. Our goal is eventually to get all of our employees back into their rightful positions in buildings at their normal work times in a safe environment. Whether that means we open to the public or not, that's different, but it would be nice to have our employees back to work as usual. And I know many of the employees feel that way. It's definitely no vacation being home. I'm working from home as well, and I'm telling you right now, I would do anything right now to be back inside my classroom.
Every teacher says that.
I miss my students, I miss my classroom, and I miss my routines and my way of life, and I know that many of our employees feel the same way. So, Public Works is a great example of they're starting to return to normal a lot faster in order to provide the services. I know, Dan, you've been working and trying to make sure that as we start to reopen again, that there's the social distancing appropriate, there is the plexiglass shields in front for when we have to anticipate the public coming back in. So we are on a path to reopening. Let's take a look at this vacation. Hey, who knows, maybe we'll be able to provide that time. And each department head has to be very cognizant of what they need in order to operate their departments. I get nervous when government starts now. We're not allowed to get involved in day-to-day operations. And I want to make sure that the department heads feel like they're being given the opportunity to run their departments as they see fit.
And every employee has earned those vacation days, so.
Listen, I do not see, I would never, I don't get a vote in this unless you so push it to me with the tie, but I'm telling you right now where I stand. If you earn that vacation time appropriately based on our contract and statutes, what we've agreed on, you deserve that vacation time, okay? You deserve it. You've earned it, you've worked for it, you've deserved it. And you should receive it. And if that means that we have to push it back a certain amount of time, then so be it. If that means that we have to open it up and actually have you take your time now, and we can do that safely and operate still the town that we need to, then so be it, then that's the route we go. But I do think we need to have a little bit more discussion, and I am worried about it being something we might have to discuss in exec session. So Mike, get that back to us quickly, because our employees deserve to have an answer sooner rather than later.
Mary brought up a good point. We don't want to have an empty workforce in December because everyone's freaking out that they'll lose it if they don't use it.
Canceling vacations. I mean, when we had the flood, Sandy, a lot of vacations, that were scheduled for the fall didn't necessarily happen, because of everything that was going on.
So we have a little bit of something to rely on as far as.
Can I just explain exactly how? I mean, we're still doing these things. Let me give you just an example. With grass is not an automated feature. That's picked up by hand. We have our orange trucks. We need 3 people to pick up grass, the driver and 2 pickers. But since we can't all put them in the truck together, we have separate cars following, 2 separate cars that are on loan from other departments following the garbage truck. And when they get to a certain area, they get out of their cars and they pick up, and while they're in that area, they're using the back steps of the truck. And then when they're moving to another area, they are dropped off back of their cars. So we are accomplishing everything and in the same, schedule so that people don't get confused. But we are taking a lot of precautions to keep the people apart from one another and to make sure that they all have personal protection equipment on at all times. So it's the same, but it's a lot different too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've learned a lot and still more to go.
Creative, but
Yeah.
It's been working, so.
All right. Anything else, Council President Novak?
Oh, I guess that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Progress.
Wonderful.
Don't forget the veterans on Memorial Day.
Absolutely, and hopefully, Stanley Droll usually keeps me abreast of plans and things that are coming through, so my fingers are crossed. I know whatever they put together for Memorial Day is going to be respectful in the ceremony and that we can do. So Mayor's comments very quickly, we got rid of almost everything. There was just one thing I wanted to add because Councilwoman Marr had brought up the work that she has done with our small businesses. And one of the things that Councilwoman Marr and I spoke about very, very briefly is actually expanding on those efforts again. And I would love to be able to take that page that you created and actually provide our small businesses maybe a larger space, like we talked about, almost like a virtual or Facebook yellow pages, if you will. And hopefully that will be coming forward soon. We have our communications expert working on some language, and I like what she came up with. It's she's calling it the hashtag Buy It Forward campaign, and I think all the work that you have done combined with this effort will be a way for us to reach not just the small businesses that are open now, but the ones that had to close their doors. So more to come on that. As Councilwoman Marr, I'm kind of handing that over to you to take a look at. So.
Yeah, we'll have some grand reopening celebrations hopefully soon.
Yes, you're not forgotten. And that's all for my comments. Let's move to the Business Administrator's report. Mr. Frankel?
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization to issue an emergency contract to install a chain link fence around the skate park due to the COVID-19 concerns.
Okay.
I got a comment on that.
Old agenda, Dan?
I think you have the old agenda, Dan.
You're skipping public safety.
Certified list, Dan.
Under Public Safety, Mr. Frankel, you have authorization to call for a certified list for patrolmen from the Department of Personnel?
I guess I do.
I just got a couple of questions about that. If everything is closed, what academy are we going to be sending these people?
That's a good question, but I think, if we hold this up, does that stop all the rest of the stuff from happening? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying with the certified list, and I'm assuming that if for some reason, usually people understand if we call for a certified list and we don't hire off of it, we then get fined by civil service. I'm assuming that if for some reason that we can't, I mean, the academy that we usually send to is in August. It's a, for lack of a better term, a sleepaway academy. These guys are put in a barracks Monday through Friday. Are these academies even going to be open? And if we don't hire, will civil service waive any fines on us?
Or extend the list.
Go ahead, Dan, on that.
The list if they haven't given a new one. But what I'm saying is usually if you call for the cert and you don't hire off of the cert, they fine you.
I am certain if they turned around and tried to find the municipalities that were unable to hire off of the certification list as a result of the closing of these academies, you're going to have a lot more than just Saraville up in arms over this because we're not the only ones that utilize this academies.
It just, usually, maybe we should look for an academy that the people don't sleep over.
I say we bring it to the chief and find out what we're looking at.
I'm assuming the way he's asking for this list, it's because he's looking at the Cape May Academy for the end of August. Most of the other ones are springtime, the ones that aren't.
Any issues?
South River is basically having their recruits intern in the building, so they're not able to go to the academy either, so police departments are being creative.
What good is that? There wouldn't be certified police officers, why are we driving behind?
I think the question is, do we have any issues with calling for the authorization of that certified list and then getting clarification on what we are going to do once once we find out the state of the academy? I'm sure, because that would be an interesting thing. Any comments on that moving forward? Okay. Public Works, you can go there again.
Okay, Mayor. Authorization to issue an emergency contract to install a chain link fence around the skate park due to the COVID-19 concerns.
Any questions?
My only concern is
yeah.
in the past we've had people, with fence cutters cut the fence. I don't want to see all this money put into a new fence and then, it that happens again. So will there be any cameras, police supervision? What is our plan to keep this fence looking new and upholding the purpose of the reason why we're purchasing it?
Everybody understand the reason why this is brought up? Because there was nearly 30 kids at the skate park within the past week. It was zero social distancing, kids as young as a couple years old on little bicycles, parents taking videos. One parent who I happened to be at the park that day as I was walking around the lake, heard her calling her friends in other towns saying, you have to come to Kennedy Park in Sayreville because their skate park is amazing. Mind you, there's signage saying closed.
Yeah.
And our police obviously responded to this. When our police officer responded with his backup, took a good amount of time for these people to disperse. They were rather combative. I believe one of which actually referred to our police officer as a Nazi. And our police officers had to actually get out of the vehicle and come in contact with these people, which is now an issue of exposure to our police officers to try to break up. I know the state police now have issued different guidelines as far as dispersing or trying to break up crowds where they're not supposed to get out of the vehicle and instead try to use their audio systems to do so to keep the exposure down. The kids eventually dispersed, and I say kids, some of them were adults. I'm just telling you right now, there was everything from little kids that had training wheels on their bikes to grown adults. Without any protective equipment, no social distancing. So they dispersed into the park
And they came back.
and therefore were in close contact in some cases with some residents that were practicing social distancing well. And then another set said, come on, we'll go over to the middle school and the high school. And then within the hour after the patrolman left, they were right back. This weekend, I went for a walk on Mother's Day with my mom, just to kind of get a break. And there were people, once again, despite the large signage at the skate park. And it was funny because it was right after a patrol car had just left. So they came in through the back over where the basketball court is, and they just proceeded to go around.
Yeah, I don't disagree that we need it. I definitely do think we need it. It's long overdue, actually. I just question maybe we should spend more money on a better quality fence so that it's not cut with simple wire cutters, fence cutters, and then we have repair costs ahead of us.
Jay, you were at that meeting.
So you understand, they have come to the park in the middle of the night with chainsaws. So I don't care what type fence you put up there. And we've never seemed to be able to catch them. I mean, that, to me, they should have been arrested.
So then cameras ultimately sounds like the best.
I think that's part of our
Cameras will help.
bigger security plan too, that we want to bring to all of the parks. I know Jay Cornell, there was a meeting held at the skate park. It was Jay Cornell, our engineer, was there. Bernie Bailey, our director, was there. The police chief was there. Captain Plumacher was there. Phil Quigley was there. Hold on, I'm missing it. Dan Frankel was there. And even a former mayor was there. And once they went around how they were going to try to render that bowl unusable, everything from sand to bin block to what was done in the past when they had put telephone poles in there. They went around and around and around. I think it was close to an hour there before it was, the only thing that they felt was fit was a fence. Similar to what you have around the tennis court as well and around the handball court, but I brought up the same
Soccer,
thing.
and they've been working well.
Yeah, and thick gauge, pool size, link so that they can't just climb the 8 foot. But I hate spending any type of money.
Resourceful people.
Very. And I hate spending a nickel, especially now, but I will say, because this is also a COVID response, that we should be able to apply for reimbursement of this through those FEMA monies, because this is a public health emergency and it's a public health concern when we have these people practicing this in that way. And I know Jerry Ust, I spoke to him personally, all the people within that bowl skate park discussion, I personally asked them, I said, what is your opinion? Are you okay with permanent fencing? Wasn't my idea, it was something, and one by one, they said, yes, 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 yes. And then Jerry also. This is horrible. It's so frustrating.
When we first
Mayor, can I chime in here, please?
Of course, go ahead, Damon. I apologize.
All right. Oh, no, no, you were throwing out plenty good points, and I agree with a lot of your points. I did speak with Jerry also, and Jerry ain't totally on board with a fence. Honestly, I understand the need for a fence, but my concern is knowing the amount of money, minimum looking at $50,000, going at something where parks and boardwalks and everything are looking to be open in the beginning of June. Would this fence even be up by that time is one of my questions, when everything else is going to be starting to open up. Secondly, what's the odds of us actually getting the grant through FEMA? Because I spoke with quite a few people, and that didn't seem like it would fly by. That we could definitely try, but for fencing, it didn't sound very promising. Look, I understand we want to keep the kids out, we want to keep them safe, we want to keep our personnel safe, and not have the police go out there and have to disperse, groups of kids. But at the same time, I don't want this to be a knee-jerk reaction, because I also asked Jerry, how many times do we actually close the skate park during the year? The answer was 0. There's never a time that we close that skate park, except for, our twilight hours, our nighttime hours, where ballparks are closed.
I think, I think Jerry, because I did talk to Jerry too. He did mention, which I didn't know this, that he said that for the car show, he usually closes it. And I think for Cerebral
Yeah,
Day,
he hasn't done that the last 2 years. I talked to him today about that. The last 2 years, they haven't.
so listen, I hear you, Damon. I know that the skate park was very much an issue. While it may not be closed very often, I know the response by our police outside of the COVID, it's been a constant concern and issue. I think that's why the police chief and Captain Plumacher and Phil Quigley and the rest of them really, as much as I don't think anybody wanted to spend the money, I think they were left with their hands up in the air saying, we don't know what else to do in this case.
The police are getting 3 calls a day.
Yeah. And they were there for hours. Oh, I'm sure. So, but I hear you, Damon. I hear you 100%. I 100% agree. And you're right. There's no guarantee with any of the reimbursements that we attempt to put in through FEMA. Is there a possibility? Absolutely. Is there a possibility that we could not get it? Absolutely. I think that absent of even getting that money, I think we have a hotbed of an issue here, pre-COVID, during COVID, and more than likely post-COVID here.
Yeah, it's just I don't want this. I hate to see this fence go up after everything's back open. I don't feel that's appropriate. I mean, yes, we have issues, but every town has issues with park issues. We have issues at basketball courts at times. I mean, there's issues all over the place. I understand the skate park is our biggest one, but throwing up a fence for $50,000+, it just didn't seem like the answer to me. And I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. Look, I have to voice it. How we vote is how we vote. But I just have to voice my concerns on this.
I hear you. I felt the same way. I know Dan Frankel was there and Jay, they're both on the phone now. The level of frustration and how to secure that area. I said, guys, listen, you're all professionals here. Come up with a plan. Tell me something that we can do in order to do this. And my initial thoughts was not fencing. It was, let's come up with something else. And honestly, they went around and around and didn't come up with anything effective. I think it might have even been, no, I don't want to say that because I don't remember exactly who it was, but somebody in there said, I say, put up a fence. And that's where it went.
This was originally designed with a fence. Now, granted, it was only, I think it was, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, it was only about a 3-foot, 4-foot fence originally. And it was meant so that people would enter and leave the skate park by one area as opposed to the hilly areas, because there are some like drop-offs on either side.
Yeah, it goes like that.
for whatever reason, even though the people could get in and out by the gates, they destroyed that too, to the point where we just took it down. Because it was, the fence itself was becoming a safety issue.
Yeah.
So it's 6 of one, a half a dozen of the other. I understand the frustration with the residents. It's a constant barrage of complaints about the kids hanging out in the skate park. So the cops are getting the complaints. The cops are becoming frustrated because they're going there. But, I mean, I heard a lot of things about bin block and sand and just about all of these things that we've heard. They would probably be more destructive to the bowls. I mean, the last time we got a couple of, I think there was a crack in the two of them. It cost over $100,000 to fix the crack. I really could not, the thought of, have us destroying it, trying to keep people out of it.
That
Will
brings
the
up
fence work? I don't know, but it was always designed with a fence.
And you brought up a good point, and Jay was there, and he was the one that actually brought up the fact that putting something in the bowl that isn't intended to be there could actually become an issue for us with the GIF.
Oh, sure.
Because they'll use it as a ramp. They'll use it as a ramp. But you brought up a good point also, and now it just escaped me for a second here. Oh, when we had to do the repairs on that, on the dome, we couldn't keep the kids out even for the repair.
Yeah.
And we do oftentimes have to do work in there on things. So the fence might actually be a very positive thing, and it could minimize some of our risk if we do have to close it for repair or unsafe circumstance.
Well, that's always a thing too with the insurance companies. They want you to do it. They realize that a lot of these things, resourceful people are going to get around them anyway, but it minimizes our risk if we at least make the genuine attempt.
I do also know that Woodbridge has a skate park as well, and around their skate park they have a fence too, and they are not having any issues at the current moment, or have not had issues in the past. So, there's a positive light for it.
And do you know what kind of fence it is? Is it a typical chain link or is it some sort of metal?
I think it's just a chain link fence, if I'm correct.
We might need to look into kryptonite because it's
I
like,
just want to do it right.
I agree.
I want to do it once and be done with it and not have to keep repairing because, we went the cheap route. So
I agree.
it's important to look into quality fencing.
So, we've had a lot of discussion. Is this something that we need to, call for a vote on in order to move forward with? I'll ask, Mike on that, or Jess.
I don't think so, because there'll be a resolution authorizing.
We can vote on the resolution, okay.
Anybody have a problem with putting
That's correct. That's correct.
All right, so does anybody have an issue with it going to resolution? I think we can put it to resolution and then, have it either yayed or nayed.
wait a minute, are we kind of authorizing this now? And then the resolution will just be our last okey dokey? Are we gonna start to
I
do
think,
this? Yeah,
I think it needs, yeah,
I would really like everybody.
well, I think it brings Damon's point up is the matter of if we need to address it because it's an emergent concern now, which it is. I mean, I'm seeing it every time I go. So in the interest of not delaying the process and actually getting the fence installed, if that's the will of the council, that, what is the mechanism that we need to do in order to make that happen? Mike or Jess?
Were guys still, I think they were still in the process of getting quotes.
Right, we were
Right.
just authorizing proceed.
Yeah, we're just
This is just authorization to issue,
an
or,
emergency.
to issue a resolution, correct. That's all you're looking for.
It says
You guys don't have
authorization,
contracts.
it says authorization to issue an emergency contract.
Yeah, but you don't have a contract, do you? I don't, this is
No,
news
no.
to me.
But I would
Okay.
assume that we hope to have it before the next meeting, Mike, so the resolution would be more of a formality on the agenda, correct?
Listed for.
Well, I guess the problem is that if this, you always have the right to vote it down in the event that this this emergency contract comes out way above your estimated cost.
I think Danielle had said that it'll be a resolution, she'd have the amount or who would be awarded to by the next meeting, so.
Okay,
Okay.
Right. So I think it's just authorization to prepare a resolution, and then when you review the contract, you have the right to accept or reject it.
okay.
Well, we would be awarding at the next.
We would be awarding at the next meeting.
Well, yeah, but if in fact the contract came out much higher than you anticipated, right, you can always reject that. You don't have to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask Dan Frankel, you there?
Yes.
What was your intention with this? Was your intention to get the council's official approval tonight and then just have the resolution confirming it at the next meeting? So you could actually maybe.
I would like, after talking with Danielle, who's our QPA, I think she was going to be able to have a bidder bid on this before the next meeting. I'd like to move that. I would have liked to move this forward before the next meeting, assuming the price is around that $50,000 mark. If it's not, then I would expect to go back to council again and talk about it at the next meeting.
So you in essence need us to vote on this right now. You need us to vote on this.
Yeah.
We need the real official okey-dokey. So what we'll need then is we need a motion then basically to authorize the issue of an emergency contract to install.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Zelina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Nope.
Mar.
Yes.
Miguel.
Just hit the speaker button, Dave. Yeah, he's still there. He'll get there.
That's Michelle doing it.
There you go.
That's Michelle.
Hey, Dave.
But I'm doing this with reservations, saying yes, but have we ever arrested or issued summonses to any of these people at the skate park?
No, they just chased them.
I think it's hard to chase them. They're on bike and skateboard. Our guys are usually on foot. But I do know that right now, having spoken to the chief, especially with the current circumstance and the sign says it, that they will be issuing summonses for violations of the executive order and our signage.
But there have been no arrest or summonses issued.
In reference to COVID, I don't think so. Prior to that, I don't know. 'Cause
With reservations, yes.
Roberts.
I agree with Dave, with reservations, yes.
Okay. Okay. Moving on then with the rest of Dan Frankel's report, recreation.
Mayor, I think we haven't formalized it, but I would like the council to vote on discussion of canceling the Independence Day celebration.
Damon, do you want to speak on that from the rec board?
Sure. I spoke with Jerry a couple of times this week and over the weekend, and he took a vote over the rec board. He called everybody. We didn't actually have a meeting, but he called everybody, and they would like it canceled. I'm kind of in agreement with them. I hate to see any type of celebration for us go away, but discussions were also had with, since this is definitely going to be canceled, it will be too close, but maybe in September at our Centennial, our Sayreville Day, we could go to Independence, make it more of a joint big party,
Yeah.
and maybe get fireworks for that party, put something together like that, instead of, all the different ones that was probably going to have to be canceled until, this subsides.
That's an excellent idea. I will say this, I know Perth Amboy had already, quite a while ago, they canceled their fireworks celebration, they put that out. I think on top of everything, I don't anticipate July 4th being something that we're going to be able to celebrate like we used to, but I would truly hate to have all those people from all of those towns then kind of descending upon Sayreville at a time when, who knows where we're going to be with our
Not even
orders.
that.
Great,
Well, yes, we get
great
so many
point.
out-of-towners. All of our
Yeah.
alumni usually come back and say that
Yeah.
we have the best one in the area. But also all the work and planning that it goes into. We give so many deposits to food and the lights that we give out to the kids for purchase, and the ice cream and all the vendors. They require deposits months
Yeah.
ahead of time, and we don't want to lose out on that money. So I do like the idea of postponing it rather than saying
I like what Damon was saying,
Yeah.
what Jerry was
With-
thinking.
Centennial.
Sayreville
Yep.
Day, Centennial, 4th of July.
It's gonna be a grand reopening
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
It's our
And
restore.
maybe we can have a nice little thing for the veterans on that day.
Oh, I feel like I'm hearing the same, but I don't hear every council person. Is there anybody that objects to then, Damon, Jerry's recommendation then is to eliminate that 4th of July celebration for another date, have a postponement in essence?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and play everything by ear, but definitely have some sort of celebration as soon as we can.
I hear you. Anybody from the council object to that recommendation by the rec director? Okay, hearing none, I think we can move on. Dan?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Okay, water and CFO's report, Denise?
Nothing, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Borough Engineer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One item, the Dew Harnell Wellfield Generator Project has been completed. We're recommending that the project be closed out, and we have a closeout change order that's going to provide a net reduction. So we're looking for resolution at your next meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Borough Attorney, Michael Dupont?
No report, Mayor, and no need for exec, Mayor.
Excellent, thank you very much. Mary?
I just have one question. Maybe Dan, you still there? The,
I am.
the
I am.
bids for the windows for the seniors, we did a bonding ordinance for it last year. Do we know if that went out?
Did the bid go out for the windows? The bid did not go out for the windows yet.
Okay, will we be doing it soon? Because I know they're all ready to do it, and we bonded for this last year. This is a
I still have to have
first
meetings
one
with.
in the building.
I will let you know. We still have meetings. I will let you know this week.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Okay, with no other questions from the council, then I'll open to the public for any and all comments. I see one hand raised, and let's see. That is Steve. Name and address again for the record, please.
Steve, 28 Scarlet Drive in Parlin. First of all, I want to thank all the council members, all our essential workers that are doing everything they can. I think we're in great shape, and I think that's the effort of staying safe by everybody. The request I have is that there's a lot of items on the agenda, such as the planning board resolutions talking about Camelot, Sarah, Hercules, and it mentions all blocks and lots. Also, Ordinance 50220 mentioning lots of blocks and lots. Now, without having to go to everybody's meeting, the planning board, everything, I think it would be helpful for the residents to, one, have a little bit more color with each of these items. So what does it mean in English without having to attend the planning board, meeting to find out what this means? Also, maybe with a little bit of a map to show where are these places? What does it really mean that Camelot on Main Street is a preliminary and final site plan from blocks, a lot of blocks? What does that mean? So that would help us to understand what we're talking about and what we're looking at. Because we see it here on the agendas, and it's a little hard to dig through.
Just to interrupt you.
It's easy to say, well, you can attend the planning board, but I don't think that serves a good purpose, that we have to attend every meeting to get a little bit more information about what's on our agenda for our council meetings. It's a request for a little bit more detail so that we can really wrap our arms around it, because I don't know what it means.
Steve, the addresses are at the end of the line.
Steve, Councilwoman Marr just has a statement for your question.
For the tax appeals, the addresses are at the end of the line.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
For the tax appeals, the addresses are at the end of the line, right after the block and lot.
No, that's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about the tax appeals. That's something separate. I understand that.
Right, but you mentioned a few
about
properties
I'm talking
within
about
that.
the receiving the following planning board resolutions, where it talks about 3 sections, 1, 2, and 3, and then the basic ordinance 50220. When I read the details behind it, it talks about 24 acres. So knowing a little bit more about it as a resident would help me understand what we're discussing, so that if I did have a question or a concern, I could air it, and it's just very transparent. I want to be very transparent with what's on the agenda, not that everybody just yes, 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 and all of a sudden we say, oh, I didn't know that. I think it would be helpful. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate your comments.
We'll try to be a
Well-
little bit more colorful.
Yeah, we'll try and add some color where we can.
Sometimes, Steve, like this 502, we're not talking about any specific streets. That's why it's blocks and lots. It's got more to do with the environmental protection where they might be filling in some wetlands or they had to mitigate something, and that's what they're talking about. It's just empty land. But we'll try to be more specific and say, this is over by, the new development, or it's by our well fields or something like that. We'll try to be a little bit more specific.
And also when you're.
Yeah, I think a map would be nice to have a little bit of a map to show you in reference to where it is. Just something simple.
The lot and block is the legal reference, so any legal docs will have the legal reference to the address.
But we can always add just, on our agenda, maybe not in the resolution, because that's more of a legal document. Maybe we can just add a little tiny bit on there to explain.
Yeah, that's
We're talking.
that's exactly what we-
We're talking about Bordentown Avenue by such and such. Or
Like
whatever.
how it is in the tax appeals.
Yeah,
Thank you, Steve.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Portion be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, adjournment. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a new sign off. Today, tomorrow, together. That's what we're in this for, right, everybody? So stay safe and be well. Stay 6 feet apart. Today, tomorrow, and we'll get through this together. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Not now.